Welcome to the Predictable Revenue Podcast, where sales leaders teach you what's working for them and how you can build it yourself.
This episode of the Predictable Revenue Podcast is brought to you by our sales coaching and consulting services. Are you looking to create repeatable, scalable, and predictable revenue? We've helped thousands of companies grow their business with tailored expert advice backed by testing to ensure they establish the best practices that'll work for them. Head over to bit.ly/predictable revenue coaching to learn more.
Welcome back to the Predictable Revenue Podcast. I'm your host, Colin Stewart, and today we are going back into the archives. We recognize that most of our viewers have joined in the last couple of years, and that means you've missed out on some of our favorite episodes. So today we've got Tom Abbott from SOCO Selling. Now, this is a conversation Tom and I had in about 2020, but I thought it was important to bring back because, I don't know, it just feels like my LinkedIn inbox is really filled up lately with a lot of mass LinkedIn messages that just are off target, not personalized, fully automated, and it hasn't been a great experience. And so with Tom, we had a really good conversation. And after the episode, this is one of those that I went to our marketing team and said, hey, we've got to do some things differently. And I think the big piece that came out of it was, we were already prospecting on LinkedIn. And so this is just by context. I think you'll probably get a few different things out of the episode. But for me, the thing that we weren't doing a great job of was keeping my profile or our profiles active here at PR. We had all this great content from the podcast, but we weren't really reusing it. We were turning it into blog posts and we were doing a couple of things like ebooks here and there. But my big takeaway from here was how we can adapt the podcast to turn it into this like really bite-sized, easy to share content on LinkedIn, on YouTube, on all the different social networks. And so today we're going to talk, we're going to replay the episode with Tom. You talk about how to get your profile in shape, some things you can crib from marketing to keep your profile active, and just ideas on how to build lists, write messaging, and book meetings on LinkedIn. Now I'll pass it off to Colin from 2020, and interesting looking back at the old office and hear the sound and how things have improved and see what's changed and what hasn't. But anyway, I'll leave you with new Colin or old Colin, and I'll see you next week. And just for our listeners who have listened to this one already, if you do decide to skip it, don't worry, we're still making content. We just wanted to surface some of these old ones every now and then. So we're going to do this from time to time when we want to bring back an old episode, but don't fear. We still got lots of new and exciting and fun content coming down the pipeline. I've got a couple really interesting conversations booked in the next couple of weeks. So can't wait to get those on the show, and we'll see you next week. Thanks. Welcome back to the Predictable Revenue Podcast. I'm your host, Colin Stewart. Today, I'm joined by a fellow podcast listener who's currently hearing our own intro music in his head. Somebody who reached out, we had a good chat on LinkedIn. Funny enough, today we're going to talk about how he's using LinkedIn to book 10 meetings. And that was, okay, that's like par for the course, right? You can book 10 meetings, great. The really interesting thing that I was excited to get Tom on the show to talk about is how he gets 10 meetings out of only 100 profiles. So that's what we're talking about. Tom Abbott is the guest. Tom's the founder of SOCO Sales Training and apparently a connoisseur of mediocre whiskey. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, it's good to be here, Colin. I never met a whiskey I didn't like.
That's fair. I would say SOCO would disagree with just the sweetness of it, disagrees with my stomach. I don't know if it's a pure whiskey. It's almost like a little like cocktail that teenagers drink.
Yeah, I wouldn't go with Southern Comfort, that's for sure. But, I like Crown Royal. That's one of my favorites.
Perfect. That's the stereotypical Canadian answer that we require people to give anytime we're talking about whiskey on the show.
A double Crown and ginger is a great start to the day.
There you go. and
start to the day.
It's morning your time. That is such a breakfast drink. You're right.
Exactly.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I'm just going to stick to it. It's evening here, so I've moved on to a straight glass of vodka.
It looks like it.
You betcha. It's been a long day. Cool. We're talking LinkedIn. I'm curious, like, where did this come from? Why outbound? Why LinkedIn?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So, I've been a listener of the podcast for quite a while, love what you guys do, and you have great guests, right? So, for us, outbound has always been, on the brain, on the radar. But really, for the last few years, about 95% of our business had come from inbound inquiries. So we're very strong with marketing. We're very strong with, branding, positioning, SEO is awesome. So when people are searching for sales training Singapore or sales speaker Singapore or sales training Asia, we're going to dominate that first page. So we will be found. We'll be found. And that's been great for us, right? But then what happens is you start looking at bigger revenue goals. And you say, okay, so how do we, double our revenue next year? Well, there's only a couple of ways that you can do that. You either, sell twice as much to the existing customers that you're closing now, or you can try to increase your closing rate. Well, when I looked at the first, we were upselling. So we were doing a great job of moving from one training day to 2 training days, and then adding on some coaching or our online program. So, we were doing a very good job of the upselling and the add-ons. So then you look at, okay, can we, tighten up the conversion rate? Well, the closing rate for us, basically when we get to, new opportunity, like a new opportunity was about maybe 20% of new opportunities would close. And then of working opportunities, about 42% would close. And then of the closing opportunities, about 88% would close. So if you're at close to a 90% close rate, it's like, what more can I do, right? Like, what more can we do? So you start saying, look, obviously the inbound is great, but that's not going to help you, double your revenue. So what can you do? You need to start looking at outbound and generating some leads that way. So that was kind of the mindset that we looked at, was we need to be aggressive and we need to be more proactive rather than reactive. And it just made sense that LinkedIn would be a great way for us to do that.
Cool. And so I'm curious, because I know a ton of companies that'll sort of, $1,000, a couple $1,000 here, and they'll reach out to sort of everybody, or they'll boost posts or whatever. And they'll get you a few meetings sometimes. But they're going to be going through thousands of profiles to get you those meetings. So I'm curious, how do you, like, when you're thinking about, this is obviously a really high quality approach. So where do you start this process?
Wow. Okay. So where do you start? So you start by, and this might sound super basic, but it may be common knowledge, but not common practice, right? You start with having a very clear idea of who your ideal target customer is, right? So what's the avatar? What's the profile? What's the buyer persona? Who are you going after? So in our case, we go after, sales leaders, sales directors, people in sales enablement, sales operations, director of sales and marketing. So you get very clear about, the type of role that you're approaching. And then you also want to look at the industry as well, if that's important to you, right? So we do a lot of work in tech and IT, infocom, ICT, digital media. So a lot of those type of tech companies, for some reason, they seek us out. So you can start looking at, your ideal target customer as a director of sales and marketing for, a software company or a SaaS company, or, infocom, ICT, digital media. We work with companies like Zendesk and Spotify. So those are kind of 2 types of companies that you're like, if we can get more of that business, that would be awesome. So you start carving out kind of this niche. So then the great thing about LinkedIn is you can start targeting based on company size, geography, which I'll get into later, role, function, title of that person, and even segment down to the actual company if you're trying to target specific organizations. But it really starts with having a clear idea of who you want to go after. That's step one.
100%. We've noticed too, we've been doing quite a bit on LinkedIn lately, and we've noticed that, it will, if you really have your ICP nailed, it can be such a huge multiplier. If you are, if you don't have a really clear idea of who you're going after, the sort of accidental serendipity that you can get from email just doesn't happen, because you're reaching a much, much smaller number of people.
Yeah. And when you've got a clear target, then you can start thinking about, like, what are the pain points of that person? Like, what's their day-to-day? What do they struggle with? What do they deal with? And then you can start crafting your messages in a way that's, more specific, and it resonates. And it just kind of keeps you in that headspace.
For sure. You're having a conversation with one person as opposed to trying to have a conversation with everybody, which means you're not actually having a conversation with anybody.
Exactly.
I hope I got the logic right there, but I think
something
that's
like
basically
that.
The saying.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I'm curious here, because this is you get a much higher penetration rate than I've seen. And so so the process starts with defining your ideal customer profile.
Right.
What happens next?
Okay. So it starts with the ideal target profile. So let me back up a little bit, because when we say it starts there, the outreach starts there. But what you want to be doing first, and this is something that organizations can do, but equally, SDRs can do, right? And I think that's what's really important. Individual SDRs can do this, is they need to start building their own profile on LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So they need to build their own profile on LinkedIn and, start creating some content. So they can either create content on their own, or they can simply recycle or repurpose content from their company. But what they need to do is to start positioning themselves on LinkedIn as, an authority in their space. That's super critical, right? So they need to be positioned as someone who is a problem solver for a specific type of person or an industry. Mm-hmm. So you want to start building that following. So something that we did, over the course of the last few months, is we built my LinkedIn following from about maybe 5,000 or 7,000 people to now we've got over 20,000. I think maybe 22 or maybe even 24,000 but north of 20,000 connections. So, that's a very deliberate strategy, right? You want to have a big profile, a big reach, a big following, right? And some people might go, well, why does it matter? Well, because that expression, it's not who you know, but it's who knows you, right? How many people know you? So when you've got those people that know you and they start to see your stuff and they see your content and you're just giving and giving and giving and giving, and I'll share more about that later, when you're just giving some great content, that kind of sets them up for when you now go out and start to approach people. Because I'm a big believer, Colin, when people talk about, cold calls or cold emails or cold outreach, screw cold. It's cold for a reason. I'm not a big fan of that. For me, that's dark ages stuff. To me, that's like, machine gun, kind of that, spray and pray approach. But we're more into like kind of this sniper approach and going after people that we feel like are the right people, but they also might have a genuine interest and at least will be receptive to hearing from us because they may have seen my stuff on LinkedIn before. And they're like, okay, let me give this guy a few minutes.
Mm-hmm. Like the old school, like spray and pray on the phone or with email is sort of like going after the market with a musket. And whereas you're talking about some advanced future laser weapon from like Star Wars.
Exactly.
Okay. And so if I get the process, it's nail your ICP, right? You got to know who you're going after. You got to know who you're sort of trying to build the audience with. You're trying to expand the number of people that know you, whether you're an SDR, thought leader, coach, founder, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Things that anybody can do.
You've got to be known as the guy or gal. You're the person in that space who can answer these types of questions. Mm-hmm. So the positioning is super important.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. And so I understand defining the ICP. I understand going and adding a bunch of people. How do you become the person that's known for being that person?
So it's just by sharing great content, right? So, we don't see sales and marketing as separate functions, right? I mean, in a way they are, but at the end of the day, we're all trying to reach the same goal. So we work together. So SDRs have to be marketers as well, right? So when you talk about sales and marketing, if you were to kind of write the word sales and write the word marketing and take out a few letters, you'd have the word smart, okay? So you need to have this kind of smart approach to both sales and marketing. So, SDRs can't operate in isolation of marketing, but I see that all the time where sales reps have no clue what marketing is putting out there and what's going on. And then the marketing is putting out messages that are maybe not consistent with what the SDRs deal with on the ground. So you see this misalignment. So you need to actually make that work and have that connection. So for me to have the SDR being able to build their own personal brand is super important. So you got to put out content and share white papers or share, cheat sheets or checklists or just, commentary on certain things or doing selfies, hey, here I am at this particular place and we're doing this, or I'm talking to this customer, or, have you ever noticed this problem, or things like that. One of our most popular videos that I did. It was kind of a selfie style video that I did in an airport lounge. You can find it on my LinkedIn and also on YouTube. It's called Don't Be That Guy. And it's don't be that guy at networking events that is always trying to push their cards on you, and they're not listening to you, but they're all about pitching themselves and who they are. Don't be that guy. Mm-hmm. So that was this video that we did that got some traction, and people really like that. So we get some inbound inquiries, or when we reach out to people, a lot of people refer to that video, right? So that's really helpful to kind of break the ice and break through the noise.
Gotcha. No, not every SDR. Like let's assume a company with 10 SDRs is going to implement this. All 10 of those SDRs can't be the person for the same thing, can they?
They can be a person for sure, right? I'll tell you, if you have 2 SDRs working for the same company, one is just kind of, not sharing any content at all, which is extremely common, right? So with the sales teams that I work with, when I say, boom, put your hand up. How many of you have a LinkedIn profile? Great. How many of you have an actually active LinkedIn? Like you're actually active on LinkedIn, sharing content? It's very few. But I'll tell you, if you have 2 SDRs and one is just kind of very passive to how they use LinkedIn, and the other one is just continuously sharing content, thought leadership about the industry that they sell into and insights, that person's going to win every single time because they will just get known as a person of repute in that space.
Mm-hmm. And so are you recommending SDRs write their own content or partner with their sort of marketing people to help sort of power that side of things?
It's a combination, right? It's a combination. So I would suggest that SDRs have to, start thinking about, what do I need to create and what should I do? But share the content that your marketing department has already put out there, likely. Mm-hmm. I mean, you'd be shocked, Colin, how much work marketing does that SDRs have no clue, let alone they don't share it with the world.
It's almost like those studies that show what happens when you sever the connection in between the 2 sides of your brain, right? And you actually have cases where like the hand will attack, like one hand is doing one thing and the other hand is actually trying to do another thing.
So that happens. Yeah, that happens all the time with sales and marketing. And, SDRs, we can make our lives much easier by just, repurposing or resharing the content that we already have. But just put your own spin on it. Even if you were to share, one useful thing every week, that would make a difference, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay. And so we're building our audience, or building the audience of people that know us.
Yeah.
We're starting to share content. We're warming up the audience. We're staying fresh on top of their mind.
Right.
Now I'm an SDR. I've got a quota. I'm an SDR leader with a 10 and a quota. What do we do next?
So now you hop onto LinkedIn Sales Navigator. So that's important, not just LinkedIn, but Sales Navigator, right? Yeah. So I'll tell you something, whether your company pays for Sales Navigator or not, if you're an SDR, you damn well pay for it. Okay. Shell out $75 or $100 a month. I don't remember what it is, but this is a tool that's going to help you sell. All right. So I'm a no excuse kind of guy. Oh, well, if I had an iPad from the company, I could present better. Oh, if I had this, I'd do. Screw that. If you get commission, you invest in yourself, man. Invest in yourself. So invest in a LinkedIn Sales Navigator account. And from there, you can start doing advanced searches, right? So then you just find the criteria that you're looking for. So, maybe with some of your listeners in Vancouver, it might be, whatever space they're trying to sell into. It could be, founders of startups in Vancouver, or, director of operations for hotels within a certain geography. But be very clear about who you're going after, and then you start running that list, right? So now you've got all these profiles, okay? So now once you've got all these profiles, well, now you want to reach out to them with that initial invitation to connect. Okay, so that's kind of the step 1 in the outbound sequence, right? Is sending that initial message.
Cool. And we've had this debate for infinity. Are you a put a message in the connection request kind of guy, or are you a don't put a message in the connection request kind of guy?
Totally put a message in.
Okay.
Of course. To me, that's a no-brainer. So I'll tell you why, right? There's a lot of people out there that will not connect with people if they don't have a clue who this person is. Okay? It's very true. I'm the kind of guy that basically if I see a profile and it looks okay, I'll just hit accept. because I want everybody on the planet to know what I'm doing. Okay. So I will accept almost everybody. If there's a face in there and they don't look like they're a spammer, right, I'll accept them. Okay. But not everybody's like that, right? Some people are like, oh, I only connect with people I've actually met in person, which I actually find kind of dumb, because it's almost like going to a networking event and saying, oh, I only get business cards from people I know. It doesn't make any sense. So LinkedIn, it's social networking, right? But definitely you do want to have a message so that they can at least read a personal greeting, right? So I might say something like, hey, Colin, I'm making an effort to expand my network of sales leaders in Vancouver. Would you be open to connecting? That's message number one.
Cool.
Okay. 90% of people are clicking accept, right? So that's just like a no-brainer, easy point of entry. So that's that first outbound message. And once we get them to accept, now we can start doing something.
Okay. So we take 100 profiles, we get 90 of them accept.
Yeah, you get 100 profiles, 90 of them are going to accept.
Cool. All right. So now we're working with 90 profiles.
Yeah.
That have accepted an invite,
right?
Accepted our connection request.
Yep.
Now what happens?
Okay. So now that you've got those people accepting, so what you want to do is you want to follow up on their acceptance, right? So they've accepted, and now you want to follow up. So usually 1 or 2 days later, okay, because you kind of want to time it, right? You don't want to like be right on them right away. You don't want to be that guy. And you certainly don't want to be that guy that sends them a PDF brochure the minute they connect. I hate that. I delete those people. I report them as spam.
Are people actually sending PDFs through LinkedIn?
I get that.
Man, that's crazy.
I get PDF attachments. I get links to websites. I get, hey, Colin, thanks for connecting. Let me tell you all about my company. I didn't ask you anything about your company.
Yeah.
Right? They're asking for a meeting, and it's give me a break, right?
Could you imagine that interaction in real life? Where you're like, hey, nice to meet you. Hey, let's sit down for a meeting. My company does this, this, and this, and this. How's Tuesday at 3:00? And you're like,
yeah.
What in the fuck just happened?
Exactly. Or you go to a networking event, and the minute, you say, hey, Colin, I'm Tom. Hey, Tom, I'm Colin. Good to meet you. Here's my book. Read it.
Yeah.
Here's can I send you a quote for training? It's like, you don't even know anything about me. Like, slow down, buddy.
Yeah. I have hundreds of developers in the Ukraine,
Yeah, right. So, you want to just keep warming people up. So you want to make it safe. And this classic sales, make it easy for people to say yes. Right? Mm-hmm. Make it easy for people to say yes. So my second message goes out, 1 or 2 days after the acceptance. It just says, hey, Colin, thanks for connecting. If there's anything I can do to help you, feel free to reach out. Cheers.
Okay.
Cool. Non-threatening.
Yeah. Not going for the meeting.
Not going for the meeting, just nice and easy.
Gentle greeting.
Yeah. So thanks for connecting, Colin. If there's anything I can do to help, feel free to reach out. Cheers. Okay. Cool. Now, I also put in my kind of tagline signature. Okay. So when I say cheers, Tom, underneath that will say, head trainer and keynote speaker, SOCO sales training. Okay. Mm-hmm. So that's just a subtle little, hey, this is what I do. Okay. This is what I do. And you just see it in the signature.
You get that sneaky brand impression going.
Exactly. Right. So like, oh, okay, cool. Good to know. Good to know. Right. So that's the second message. And we get a lot of replies from people going, sounds great, Tom. Thanks. Appreciate it. Let's keep it. Right. I get a lot of that. Real responses from people. So when you get those real responses from people, you know that they feel that everything is genuine, because it really is, right?
For sure.
Right. So that's super cool.
Okay. And so we've taken 90 people, we're warming them up.
Yeah.
We're trying to make it easy to say yes. We hit them with just a connection request, but really it's like, hey, I'm friendly. Here's sort of my tagline.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's the answer to, oh, nice to meet you. You've met at a networking event. Nice to meet you, Tom. What do you do? Hey, I'm Tom. I do this.
Yeah, exactly.
Sort of like a nice to meet you. Sneak that in there.
Non-threatening, nice and easy, super cool.
Cool. And that's turned into 10 meetings. Wow. That's so easy. Episode over.
Great. Yeah. Ooh, I forgot there's a few more steps.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, right.
I was like, where's the meat? Yeah.
I wish. Okay.
All right. So what does message 3 look like?
Yeah. So message 3, we send about a week later. Okay. You want to give people some breathing room. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to come across as salesy. So, you give them some breathing room. So about a week later, we'll send out message 3. So message 3 is what I would call kind of like a value building, credibility building type email, but still coming, with my hand open to offer something. So it's kind of like, hey, Colin, how's your week going? Or hey, Colin, happy Wednesday. Just trained a sales team in Singapore about what it takes to hit their targets in the second half of 2019 and thought you might find some of the tips that I shared useful too. You can watch them in this video. Enjoy.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're digging that, huh?
Yeah.
So this one here is, super cool. How's your week going? Or happy Wednesday or happy Friday, whatever day of the week it is. Just kind of find an appropriate little greeting.
Yeah.
And then I get straight to it. I just trained a sales team in Singapore about what it takes for their teams to hit their targets in the second half of 2019 and thought you might find some of the tips useful too. You can watch them in this video. Enjoy. Okay. And
Cool.
then there's like just, like a bit.ly link to a video, right? And it's going to be like a tip video. So it's just value. There's no selling there. It's just value. But what's cool about that, and a lot of people reply to that going, hey, thanks, Tom. Appreciate it. I'll share it with my team. Great tips. But then some won't say anything, right? But they'll consume it.
Mm-hmm.
They'll consume it. And that's cool, all right? Because I want people to click that link, watch the video, get some value, but then, of course, come away going, whoa, this Tom guy, he really knows his stuff. I like his style, right?
Totally.
So that step 3 message is a very critical message because now we start building on that branding and positioning even more.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So that's a big one. Okay. It's a big one.
And just help brainstorm with me, because I know this takes it a little bit outside your process, but if I'm an SDR, I'm not necessarily going to have a video of me training people, in Singapore last week.
Yeah.
So what are some things that, if I'm an SDR, what kinds of videos can I post there that are going to add value?
Oh man, there's tons. So for example, you guys might have a demo video or an explainer video, right? So, you could say something like, or a tip video, right? So a lot of companies will put out like a tip video, how to do this, how to do that, right? So, if you're an SDR for a company that has some of those marketing messages, okay, it could be a white paper, right? It could be a cheat sheet. It could be a how-to, or it could be a checklist. It could be anything, right? But, you could say something like, hey, Colin, how's your week going? I just had a chat with a sales leader last week about, how to build a great sales team. Here's a link to an article that we wrote on how to motivate your team. Hope you enjoy it. Cheers. So
Awesome.
it doesn't matter what that piece is, but you got something out there, man. You got something. And here's the thing. If you're an SDR or more like an AE, right? You go to meetings, you present to people. If you're any good at all, you're coming with what we call like proof devices, right? You're coming with proof devices, case studies, testimonials, similar situation stories. You call it what you want, proof of concept, a demo. You've got something to show people. You've got, 7 reasons why you need to be doing X, or the top 5 pitfalls people in your space, fall into. Like, you've got something of value that you use as kind of a proof device with customers or with prospects. So all we're doing here in step 3 is you're inserting that there.
Love it. Okay. I got it.
Cool.
So we do something to sort of build that value in message 3. No general call to action, just, hey, check it out. Here's a link to something that's going to add some value.
Yep. The call to action again is non-threatening. It's not, hey, book a call with me, or, do you want to talk about whatever? Scary, 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 right? So to kind of recap, we go from the, hey, Colin, I make an effort to reach out to sales leaders in Vancouver. Would you be open to connecting? Boom. 1. Hey, Colin, thanks for connecting. Feel free to reach out if there's anything I can do to help. Cheers. Right? Message 3, hey, Colin, hope you're having a good week. Just did a session with a team about, blah, 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 blah. Here's a video with some short tips that maybe you can share with your team they might find useful too. Enjoy.
Cool.
Just giving some content, giving some stuff.
Content, good value.
Yeah. good
All right.
value. And if nothing comes out of it, at least they know that you're damn good, right?
Mhm.
They know who to go after when they need help to solve that problem, right?
Totally. And it's not like, this is more top of the funnel stuff. This isn't like, here's a case study about like the 10 reasons why you should choose us over XYZ company.
Not ready, man.
It's value, value, value.
Yep.
Real top of the funnel stuff.
You got it. You're
Cool.
positioning yourself as the person or the company.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay. So now we give them about a week. Okay. So now we're kind of like day 15. You know, we're a couple weeks into this sequence now.
Yeah. Math
So-
checks out.
Yeah. Okay. So we're about 2 weeks in. So this is now when you start asking. Okay. So here I go, hey, Colin, hope you're having a great week. Quick question. Who'd be the best person at Predictable Revenue to have an initial chat about training for your sales team? Have a great week ahead. Okay. So that's the ask and message number 4. Hey, Colin, hope you're having a great week. Quick question. Who'd be the best person at Predictable Revenue to have a quick chat or an initial chat about training for your sales team?
Perfect. Okay. I love the quick question. I've used that a ton. I've used it as a subject line. It's a nice way to queue up like a non-threatening message. It kind of introduces the call to action in kind of a non-threatening way. You're defining that, hey, I don't want a textbook of an answer. I'm just like,
Right.
real quick. Is it you? Is it somebody else? Chances are it's them, right?
Chances are it's them, right? So again, like, it's almost like, when you watch like Law and Order or all these like legal shows, right? And I always tell people in training, don't ask a prospect a question that you don't really know the answer to. Right? So imagine if you were a lawyer and you're grilling a suspect and you're like, did you or did you not enter the premises last Thursday? And they're like, actually, no, I wasn't. I was out of town last week. You're like, oh, fuck, I'm screwed.
I've got an alibi.
Right. Wrong question. Right.
Yeah.
So you want to be sure you know the answers. Right. So, and again, you want to ask a question that's fairly non-threatening, that's kind of easy to say yes to. Right. So we played around, Colin, with that question. So everything we do, we're actually fine tuning and tweaking every step of the way to see, is it moving people to that next stage nicely? Right. So we played around with saying, hey, Colin, quick question. Are you the best person to talk to about training your sales team? We found that the response rate to that one wasn't high.
Interesting.
I don't know why.
It's more threatening. Are you?
A little bit. Are you, right?
I want you to be the right person.
Yeah, because you shift to sales mode when you go, hey, Colin, are you the person to talk to about training? And then maybe your guard starts to go up.
Totally. Yeah. With the quick question, it lets them opt in, right? Who's the best person? Oh, that's me. It's that moment of you're allowing them to discover that it's them.
Yes.
As
It's
opposed
beautiful,
to trying to force
man.
it on them.
It's beautiful because 2 things are happening, which is really exciting, because when you try this out, you really don't know what's going to happen. Like, you have no idea. You got your hypothesis, you run your little test and you see what happens, and you just don't know until you start getting real responses. And what I love about this is you get real responses from real humans. So you're getting that immediate feedback, which is awesome learning, right? So when you say who'd be the best person to have an initial chat with about training your sales team, insert whatever you want to do into that script, obviously. One of 2 things is happening. People are like, oh, actually, that's me. Or they're going, actually, that would be, Jane, and she's our sales ops leader. Here's her email address and her LinkedIn profile. People are freaking giving us their contact details and a name.
What?
I had no idea. Like, I didn't know that the receptiveness and the willingness of people to share who we should talk to would be there. And I think, Colin, it has to do with the steps 1, 2, and 3. You understand? Because if you just go all guns blazing, first message, hey, Colin, Tom here from Soko Sales Training. Who'd be the best person to talk to about training your sales team? You're just like, fuck, I just got hit with it by a sales guy.
Yeah.
So, you got your guard up, but I'm warming you up and you get some content. That message 3, you're like, whoa, this guy's pretty good. They do some pretty good stuff. So when I make the ask a week later, there's a bit of a camaraderie, if that's the right word.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a bit of a, hey, I like this guy.
Totally. And so what does your response rate look like off of this message for, which if we're doing this ourselves,
Yeah.
I'm assuming we've sent out 90 of these.
Yeah.
How many responses am I going to get?
Yeah. So of those 90 that we're putting out, how many are we getting? We're getting about 10%. 10? Is it 10? No, I think we're about. No, it's 10% is the next
The overall
thing.
conversion. Yeah.
Right. Okay. But I'd say we're hearing from about 25% of those people we're hearing from.
Okay. 25% of some sort of a reply.
Some sort of a reply, which is nice because we want a reply.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you want
Right.
people on the other side to be alive, which is nice.
Exactly.
Like, not super interested or whatever it is,
Yeah.
Those.
And what's really neat is, of course, on LinkedIn, you can see whether the messages are read or not, right?
Interesting.
So right, that's what's cool about LinkedIn. Emails, unless you're automating it through something, but if you're just sending emails through your normal email client, you likely won't know if they even opened it or read it.
Even the read receipts with, like, if you're sending through something like Sales Loft Outreach, the way Gmail handles it, they're not super accurate.
Right. But the great thing with LinkedIn is I can actually see, did you read that message?
Love it.
So I can see, they read message number 3.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can kind of also take a look, because you're using a Bitly link, you can then go into Bitly and see, out of the 100 that you reached out to, how many people clicked on that link.
Mm-hmm.
So you can
I should ask, how many link clicks would you expect on so back up a stage, on that first one on message 3 for the video, where you just sort of building value?
So that's a great question, and that I haven't been tracking.
Okay, that's fair.
But as I talk it through, right? So we use the Bitly link for 2 reasons. One is as a link shortener, but then the also is also to track, right?
Yeah.
But we haven't looked into that. So that's something that we could look into that would be interesting, right?
Cool. Okay. Yeah, I was just curious. I realized I sort of forgot to ask that metric.
No, I love that. That's awesome, right? So then with the message 4, if you're getting about a 25% response rate, that's looking juicy. That's looking nice.
Cool. Yeah, we got 20 people we're having some good chat with here.
Absolutely. So now those 20 people, we can start to try to make something happen.
Cool.
Okay. So that's when you're going to start asking for the meeting, right? So if that person goes, oh, actually it's me, then we'd respond with like, oh, that's great, Colin. So, would you be open to having a quick chat? Right? So that's the ask, right? You want to ask for that call.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Open to having a quick chat. Cool.
Yeah. Okay.
And then off of that, so from those 20 people, you get about a 50% conversion rate. You're booking about 10 meetings.
Yeah.
Great. Does it end there?
Yeah. So when we talk meetings, so, meetings can also be defined as a call, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Right. So you're actually, putting a call in the books on the calendar, and you're able to basically do like a qualifying or a discovery call.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what we're looking to do. We're just trying to see if there's an opportunity, right?
Yeah. I just want to find something here.
Exactly. So we've got some interesting stats that we measure, right? So once that person puts their hand up, right? Once they put their hand up, now some of the other hard work begins, because now you're actually trying to schedule that call.
For sure. This
Right?
has got to be one of the toughest pieces, because they've said yes, and that's easy to do on a social networking platform.
Yeah.
Actually following through and converting that into something real, much more.
Yes. Getting them on the phone, doing discovery, qualifying to see, oh, is this a real opportunity or not? And then actually moving it through your pipeline, right? So this is all pre-pipeline stuff, right?
Yeah.
Right. So you had a guest on a few weeks ago that had a kind of a 9-day or a 14-day kind of a sequence. And, you asked them a really good question about, do they measure at every step of the way what the response rate is? And his response was no, but that it was a great idea. So we do measure that. We do track that, which is really helpful because we can see out of all the messages that we send as a follow-up, once they put their hand up to try to book that call, when do they tend to respond to us? And that's really useful, all right? So when we start the process of the follow-up, we want to try to find out, okay, so, can we schedule some time to chat, right? Can we book a time to chat? And then we would also, at the same time, we're hopping on their LinkedIn profile, we're hopping on Google, looking at their website and trying to get their phone number, like a mobile number, like their cell numbers is always really good if you can find that, right? But we're trying to get a number so that we can also pick up the phone, right? So we like to keep a lot of it on LinkedIn, but we also take kind of an omni-channel approach, right? So you're using LinkedIn to do all the heavy lifting, most of it. But then, of course, you got to follow up with emails if you have it. Follow up with a phone call if you have it. Drop them a WhatsApp message if you can. But your goal is to try to book that call.
Okay. And so walk me through your follow-up stages. So, because I'm assuming it's not just as simple as, hey, can we have a quick chat? And they're like, yeah, you get 10 people just like that.
Doesn't always happen, right? So, yeah, it doesn't always happen. So, you're following up with, hey, it was great chatting with you. Can we schedule some time to talk, right? And when would be a good time to chat? Just want to follow up on our LinkedIn messages and see if we can hop on a quick call, right? So it's that kind of standard, can we hop on a quick call? Have you got 15 minutes? I just want to pick up on our last conversation, right? So it's that type of language that you're going to be using. And we try to keep that sequence, that timing pretty tight, right? So, I mean, if we can't schedule that call within, 1 or 2 weeks from someone putting their hand up, we drop it, recycle it, and move on. Okay. Because that tells you something about the lack of urgency, right?
Yeah. And how many times will you follow up before you drop it?
Yeah. So that's an awesome question. What we were trying up until a few weeks ago was we had a 9-day sequence. Okay. We had a 9-day sequence that would have kind of 9 different touches over the course of those 9 days. And we tried to keep it tight, right? But, there'd be a message on day 1, okay? And then a follow-up on day 2. Day 3, there'd be a call. Okay, so day 3 is a call. Then we give them a break for 2 days. And then day 5 would be another message. Give them a break. Day 7, we haven't heard back from them. So we'd follow up with another message that would be another value message because we felt like maybe they needed a little bit of a, reminder, right? Like, hey, just checking in, hoping we can hop on a call. In the meantime, here's something that you might find really useful, right? Give a little value there, okay? And then you give them a day off, and then day 9 is, a last call, okay? A last call on day 9, and then a 5th and final message, which is basically, hey, Colin, just checking in one last time. I really appreciate you considering this. If you could quickly help me out, here's 4 choices.
Yeah.
Which one's best? A, interested, let's chat. B, interested but not the right person. C, interested but not the right time. And D, not interested. Okay?
Cool.
So it's really neat, okay? So that's basically the breakup, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. But I'm trying to get some feedback, okay? And I'm asking them, because look, up until this point, the ask has been, can we hop on a call? Can we hop on a call? Can we chat? For some people, Colin, that might be, okay, dude, I put my hand up and said I'm the right person, but I'm just not ready for this right now, right? So I'm a big believer in you want to give people kind of an out.
Totally.
Okay. I'm not going to follow up on your, and badger you for weeks and months to try to hop on this call when clearly you're not giving me those signals that you're ready to chat. So, at the end of that 9-day sequence, we give you an out. And here's 4 choices. You're interested. Yes, let's chat. I'm interested, but I'm not the right person actually. Okay. Or I'm interested, but it's not the right time for us. And D, screw off. I'm not interested.
Yeah, I lied. I didn't actually want to have this call with you.
Right. Because the question was, are you the best, who'd be the best person to talk to about this? And yeah, I'm the best person, but I don't want to talk about this.
Which is fair.
Totally fair.
Always
We're
going to be an
working.
option.
We're working with someone right now. Our sales are through the roof. We're rocking and rolling. I saw your videos and I hate them. I mean, who knows what's going on, right?
Yeah,
But you want to give them an out, and I want that feedback.
totally. Your glasses are way too rectangular. I would never work with somebody just like that. Yeah. So
That's why I go with the D shape.
there you go.
Okay.
It sounds like we got quite a bit of messages going on here. I'm
Yeah.
curious what your stance is on sort of templated versus fully customized.
It's a combination. I mean, it's a hybrid. I mean, it's this term that we hear sometimes, mass customization, right? You have to have a process, a play, right? You hear this term a lot. You need to have a play that's replicable, right? That's predictable, right? That you go, look, if I send out this message, this is the typical response rate and the typical response that I'm going to get. So there has to be some predictability to your outbound, right? So you need to have that. But it also has to, hey, Colin, just reaching out, right? Or something like, and we've got another message, which is actually really cool. I'm not going to kind of go deep into where that one shows up, but it's kind of like, hey, Colin, and what we can do on LinkedIn, which is really cool, is we've started refining the search down even further, which I don't know how much time we have, but we started refining the search down even further to people who are new in their role.
Interesting.
Okay, because people new in their role as a sales leader, new in their role, have unique challenges. Mm-hmm. Things like, hey, Colin, given that you're new in your role, and congrats on that, by the way, you've probably inherited a sales team that doesn't hit their KPIs, right?
There was probably a reason they have a new job in the first place.
That's right. Right.
So you have a job.
You've probably inherited a team that isn't hitting their KPIs. Maybe they've never had formal sales training, or they have, but they've completely forgotten what they've learned, or they don't implement it. Mm-hmm. Does this sound familiar? Right? Is this you? Right?
Yeah.
And when you start speaking that language to that person, they're like, yup. Right? So that's super important. So the customization, the message is customized to the audience, not the person. So hence the mass customization.
Gotcha.
So you can target people on LinkedIn who are new to a role. Mm-hmm. And also what we do, because, some people might say, look, Tom, this sounds great, but, not everybody's on LinkedIn. Not everybody's active on LinkedIn. And I'd say, well, you're absolutely right, which is why we can filter it down even more by only going after people that have had activity within the last 30 days.
Ooh, that's
how
pretty cool.
Sweet is that?
I hadn't thought about that one. Actually, that's nice, because then now you're narrowing your audience, because you're investing quite a bit in engaging with these people. You want to make sure that they're the type of person that's going to engage with you back.
Exactly. Because what we noticed when we first started doing this, Colin, was we would, reach out to, let's say, 100 people, but we'd only get, let's say, a 50% acceptance rate. Mm-hmm. So you've got to ask yourself the question, why? Is it people don't want to connect with me? Is that why? Is it half don't want to connect with me? Or is it possible that even though Colin has a LinkedIn profile, the dude hasn't logged in for frickin' 3 months? Is that possible, right?
Totally.
Totally possible. There are people that are extremely active on LinkedIn and some people that are incredibly inactive on LinkedIn. So if your outbound campaign is predicated upon reaching people on LinkedIn, then you've got to make sure that they're as active on it as you are. So you want to, filter out the bad ones or the inactive ones. And when we started doing that, our numbers started going up dramatically.
Wow. Way to bury the lead, Colin. Like, I should have got this right at the very top of the episode, but that's incredible. Cause it's one of those like easy things that it's so easy to miss. You're building the search. You're so focused on ICP. It's very easy to forget about, okay, new at the job. Great. I've heard that before. I've done that before. Active on LinkedIn, such an easy box to forget about.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep.
I want to jump to the lightning round.
Yes.
I know, I think there's probably a couple more nuggets of wisdom here. So what else have we missed from this process to sort of wrap it up and make sure that we're nailing those 10 meetings a month, 10 meetings,
Okay, cool.
profiles?
Yeah. So I think, one of our biggest learnings, and like I said, we're always learning and always experimenting. I think one of our biggest learnings is taking a look at which of those messages do people tend to respond to. Okay. So what we noticed was when we were following up with people, it was the day 3 message. The day 3 message and phone call is when we had the greatest response, like overwhelmingly. Okay. Overwhelmingly, it's the day 3. Okay.
And that's the value building.
The value building was actually day 5.
Oh, okay.
The day 3 was a follow-up with a phone call.
Oh, this is in the follow-up sequence.
That's right. In the follow-up.
Gotcha.
So so I'm trying to book the call, right?
Yeah.
I'm trying to book this call, and get them to respond again. So it was that day 3, message and then a call. But the day 3 is when we had overwhelmingly the highest response rate.
Interesting.
Day 5, nothing. Day 7, out of 50 leads, day 7, 2. Day 9 came in second with the most, okay? Now, day 9, of course, is the, hey, thanks for considering this, blah, blah, blah. Choose one of these 4.
Yeah.
So what's happening? We decided, you know what? We can shortcut this, right? We can shortcut this and take out, steps 5 and 7. Because day 5 and 7 weren't doing anything for us. They're either responding by 3 or they're damn well not responding until we do the breakup.
Yeah.
So we don't have the stats yet because we're just starting this new sequence. Mm-hmm. But what we're going to do is we're going to start moving to going just like, day 1, 2, 3, and then the final day is the what used to be the day 9.
Gotcha. 1, 2, 3 breakup.
1, 2, 3 breakup, and shorten that from a 9-day, which was basically a 2-week duration.
Yeah.
You can hit this in a week now, so we can cut it in half.
Nice.
And then some quick stats here for you. Of the people that responded to that last email, we hit 50 leads, okay? 50 leads. 22% said not interested. So that was 11 people out of 50 said not interested, but I want to hear from you, so thank you. Mm-hmm. One person said interested but not the right person. 40% said interested but not the right time.
Interesting.
So dude, so that's 40% responded favorably, because you look at favorable and unfavorable, right? So out of 50 leads, 40% responded saying, I'm interested, but it's just not the right time. So guess what, man? You recycle that dude and you follow up with him in 3 months and see if that's a good time. Okay. And then the remaining percent was interested, let's chat. So I got to do my math here, 40, 60, it's about 40% were interested, let's chat.
Beautiful.
So how sweet is that?
And that's getting to that magic moment right at the end there.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah.
Man.
Now you've got something to work with.
Now you definitely, I'm impressed. I'm surprised actually that it's sort of evenly split between not the right time and interested, let's chat. Off that breakup email, that's 80% positive.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Out of those 50,
and I think it's because of the value building, the credibility, no man is an island, right? So it's everything put together, everything combined creates this favorability.
That's true. And even islands are just like used to be a volcano, and there was a hot spot underneath that. And I've been listening to a podcast with Neil deGrasse Tyson yesterday and this morning. So,
oh my God,
he was on the Joe Rogan show. So if you haven't checked,
I know I watched that a couple days ago.
Yeah, I'm listening to it right now. It's good. But we're not here to talk about Neil deGrasse Tyson or volcanoes or tectonic plates. I want to get extra value out of Tom here. So let's move to lightning round. So cool. Very quickly, tell me how you get people to respond to your emails.
Real simple. It's a subject header. Okay. If they don't like the subject, they don't open it, they won't respond to you. So, we've got a couple of emails we send out with opportunities, and the subject header is, priority for predictable revenue, question mark.
Yeah.
Or, it's unfortunate we couldn't, I'm here if you need me, Colin.
Love it.
Okay. So it's those two types of subjects. We literally get a 90% response rate to the priority for predictable revenue. You open that and you respond to me and you say, hey, sorry, buddy, I've been super busy. It's on the back burner, or my bad, I've been traveling. Yes, let's talk. 90% response rate. And then you go, okay, well, there's 10% that don't respond. That's when I hit them with that breakup email, which is, I'm here if you need me, Colin.
Love it.
And then I've got some copy, which I don't have time to go into right now, but people respond to that.
What's the copy? Come on.
It's unfortunate we couldn't connect. After several attempts, I'm respecting your privacy.
Yeah.
I don't want to hound you, but I'm here if you need me. Feel free to reach out when the time is right.
Cool. I like it. I love the priority piece. Never split the difference. I think they recommended something like that.
Okay.
I think is this project still a priority for you or something?
That book's on my reading list. Yeah.
Have you given up on this project? I think is what they recommended in the book. And I like to flip it around to the more Canadian, the more polite or less aggressive version that I like, which is this still a priority for you?
Right. And then you've got to throw in an apology in there too, right?
Sorry. Didn't mean to.
Yeah, I'm really sorry. I'm sorry if this isn't a priority. I'm sorry. Sorry to bother you. Yeah.
Sorry.
But our priority email is something like, hey, Colin, is sales training still a priority for your team? The reason why I'm asking is because I haven't heard from you since our initial conversation on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
If it is still a priority, I suggest we hop on a quick call to learn more about your team and see how we can help you guys. If it's no longer a priority, in brackets, and that's okay, please just drop me a quick reply to that effect. Cheers.
Sweet. Love it.
Yeah.
Moving on. So let's say you do maybe you don't book the call, but you're cold calling somebody out of that list. How do you handle when they're brushing you off?
The brush off is, hey, totally understand. Just quick question. Is your team hitting their targets?
Just a straight up disrupt. Hey, you're brushing me off, but I want you to pay attention.
I say no worries. Just real question, real quick one. Is your team hitting their targets? Because if they are, then that's great, right? But if they're not, maybe we can just have a quick chat, right? Not now because it sounds like you're busy, right? But maybe we can schedule some time to talk in a little bit more detail. And I got a few things I can share with you that might help.
Beautiful. Last one. What do you need? What do you do when you need to push at the end of the quarter?
Oh man, when we push at the end of the quarter, it's going through all the opportunities and hopping on the phone. It's like crunch time. It's a combination. It's omni-channel. It's hitting people, and we do this throughout the month. But when you've got to do a final push, it's all hands on deck. Get Infusionsoft open, the CRM, and you're pumping out WhatsApp messages, calls, LinkedIn messages, and emails. And just trying to get some kind of a nibble from people, but it's just upping the intensity. That's all it is, upping the intensity, and making sure you're hitting people at every possible medium so that they know that they have heard from you.
Love it. You may as well be walking up a mountain because this is going to be a grind.
To me, it's all guns blazing. Like I never want to go out going, you know what? I probably should have followed up a couple more times. I never want to have that regret.
Fair.
Ever, yeah.
Perfect. Tom, thank you so much for this. I want to give you a chance to share, promote anything you're looking for. You're looking to sort of get the word out about, which brings me to our favorite segment that is no longer a surprise. I do tell the guests now, but it's called People Call Me. I used to do this as a surprise. And when I had a couple of VPs come on and I was like, I don't feel like surprising them would go well. So Tom, set us up. Who am I in this cold call role play?
Yeah, so you're going to be you're a sales leader. So you manage the sales team. You're also new to your role.
Okay.
That's about it.
All right. Ready? Magic phone ringing. Ring. Hey, this is Colin.
Hey, Colin, it's Tom here from SoCo. Have you got a minute?
I'm just about to step into a meeting.
Yeah, no, totally get that. Quick one. Hey, congrats on your new position at Predictable Revenue. That's awesome.
Thanks.
Yeah, man. So, in my experience, you're probably inheriting a sales team of reps that probably don't hit their targets or they never had any formal sales training. Is that right?
I'd say lots of them have training. We used to have something here, but we've got a couple reps that aren't hitting quota.
Okay, cool. And that's very normal. And even if you guys have had some training, quite often you might have some folks on your team that maybe forgot what they learned or they're just not practicing what they learned, right?
Yeah. Adoption of the training has been a challenge.
Okay. Well, that's actually where we come in. We actually help sales teams like yours optimize their performance through blended learning solutions. It's a combination of in-classroom learning and also mobile learning.
Mobile, like on my phone? No, I'm
Yeah, exactly.
No, I'm going to a meeting. I wouldn't say that. I was like,
No, but in fact, no, but that's a great one, Colin. In fact, when we talk about mobile learning, we actually have an online program, SoCo Academy, where your team can actually learn 365, 24/7 on their mobile phone or their laptops or their iPads.
love it.
Because what we've learned, Colin, is actually about 40% of mobile learning actually happens outside of the office, which means you can upskill your team and train them and not take up any time during the workday.
That sounds awesome. If I can get them to work 12, 24 hours a day, beautiful.
Now you're talking. Well, I'll tell you what, I know that you're rushing into a meeting. That's cool. Do you want to maybe schedule some time, maybe next week? We can chat in a bit more detail.
For sure. Let's do it.
Yeah. Friday, 10 a.m.
Works for me.
Done, buddy. I'll sell you a Calendly link and we're locked in.
Perfect. I'll reply with my Visa number.
Done. Sounds good. Thanks, Colin.
Right on, Tom. Man, thanks so much for coming on the show. If anybody's saying, hey, I want to learn more about this LinkedIn process, or I happen to be in Asia, Singapore,
yep,
and I want some training, what's the best way for them to get in touch?
Best way is on LinkedIn. Not surprisingly.
Yeah.
Reach out to me on LinkedIn, SoCo Selling. So just look up Tom Abbott, SoCo Selling, SOCO Selling, SELLING. That's my handle on LinkedIn is SoCo Selling.
Perfect. I'm going to find a link and I'll throw it in the show notes. If anybody wants to get in touch with Tom, you can do it there. And give him a big shout out for coming on and sharing something that, I know your team didn't want you sharing all the secrets, and I tried to grind a few of them out of you, and I really do appreciate you sort of opening the kimono for us.
Yeah, my pleasure, man. Thanks, Colin. This was great.
All right. Very excited. Thanks, Tom.
Cool. Cheers.
See you next week, everybody. Bye.